Right now on Denver 7 News at 4, months after hundreds of homes were destroyed by fire, the first family to rebuild finally breaks ground.
You have no idea all the steps and all the hurdles.
How long it will take before they can move into their new home.
When it comes to tracking illegal drug sales, emojis may be more meaningful than words. How experts say social media is contributing to the increase in fentanyl use. Plus, how a DNA sample similar to a fingerprint could give cancer patients a better chance of survival.
And they can almost taste the finals. The Avalanche look to sweep the Oilers in Edmonton and move closer to the Cup. Oh, hello there. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Jason Grenauer. Just giving the studio a nice little sweep here, which is exactly what the Avs are hoping to do tonight against the Oilers. Just get them right on out of there. It's a big night for the Avs. If they complete that sweep of the Oilers tonight, beat them 4 games in a row, all that's going to be left is for the Avs to wait and see who they face in the Stanley Cup Finals. Our own Nick Rothschild is out at Ball Arena ahead of tonight's watch party. Nick, tonight's game is in Canada, but the seats behind you are going to be packed with cheering Avs fans looking to move on.
Absolutely, Jason. Love the little spring cleaning you're doing there at the Denver 7 studios, but you're right. We are going to pack a capacity crowd here into Ball Arena tonight. 18,000 strong coming to watch a game that's being played 1,000 miles north of Denver. That just goes to show you how much these fans love the Avalanche. And it makes a guy wonder, would some of these fans hope for a loss tonight so they can celebrate with their team here on going to the Stanley Cup Finals on Wednesday, perhaps? I would say be careful what you wish for with that mentality. There is nothing more dangerous than a hockey team facing elimination. We have firsthand experience with that last round in the Blues, remember? Plus, these opportunities to seize your dream and ink your spot in the Stanley Cup Finals, they don't come around very often. Just ask Darren Helm. He knows you have to make the most of this chance.
My first 2 years, we went to the finals both times, and I haven't had a sniff since, so this is an exciting moment. I think everybody realizes what's at stake, and
staying focused on the process. That's the main thing. You know, like we've staying in the moment, breaking games down 5 minutes at a time, focusing on what we can control, our work ethic, our competitiveness, the determination.
It's hard to win that 4th game. It's very difficult. You know, we've done a pretty good job. I thought the last 2 games, 5-on-5, I thought we've controlled the play. We're going to have to keep doing that.
Eyes on the prize here, fellas. Take care of business tonight. Rest up for the Stanley Cup Finals. And these fans will throw you a parade party of the likes you've never seen before if you can complete that quest for 16 W's. Live tonight at Ball Arena, Nick Rothschild, Denver 7 Sports.
All right, have fun out there, Nick. Well, you're just an amazing guy. I look forward to our chats. That's what they wanted me to tell Nick Rothschild. I'm just excited for the game tonight. But meanwhile, we got to talk other news now. Home prices in the Denver area, they're beginning to slow down, and realtors say it could be the beginning of a larger drop in prices. A report from the Denver Metro Association of Realtors says the median closing price of a home fell at the end of May compared to April. The total amount it dropped wasn't that substantial, only about 1%, but still, it could paint a picture for what is ahead in the months to come. One local realtor says for people in the market for a new home, expect prices to continue dropping, but also not a dramatic shift.
If I had to make a projection right now, you know, I think that buyers are probably going to be in a little bit of a better position as the rest of this year goes on. I don't think that we're heading off some magical cliff where prices are going to decrease.
The Denver Metro Association of Realtors also advises buyers to wait for homes that don't get any offers after their first weekend on the market. That makes the seller more likely to make a deal on the second weekend that home is on the market. Well, speaking of homes, for the first time since the Marshall Fire tore through Boulder County, rebuilding is now underway. The Carson family broke ground this morning. The debris has now all been cleared out on their lot. Today, the construction company starting the excavation process when they'll begin working on the home's foundation. Now, we spoke to the family today who say they're excited and ready to come back stronger than ever.
It feels like the fire was yesterday and forever ago at the same time. It's hard to explain. And I've never gone through the process of building a new home. So it's been very educational. You have no idea all the steps and all the hurdles and all the challenges and everything everything feels like it takes forever and you're just so excited to get to that next step.
Now that home is expected to take about 8 months to build. Well, Denver's city council wants the city to have more affordable places to live. The city will vote on new rules tonight that would require developers to include affordable housing units in projects or pay an extra fee. They also want flexible heights for apartment complexes and parking reductions or exemptions. Now, city leaders are also pushing for the creation of more accessory dwelling units with this program. Those are smaller homes built on the same lot as a regular home. A public hearing on these proposals will be part of that council meeting that starts at 5:30. Well, every day in Colorado, an average of 100 cars are stolen. And one council member in Aurora wants the city to give out the harshest penalties in the state for those car thefts. We have video from 2 recent carjackings in Colorado. Now, they're not from Aurora specifically, but they underline the bigger problem here. At tonight's council meeting, a mandatory minimum sentence of 60 days in jail will be discussed. That would be for people who have been convicted and sentenced in an auto theft crime. Now, those behind the proposal say that stealing a car is much more than a typical property crime, since those cars are often used to commit other crimes.
Really address the car theft rings, the people who are stealing cars to commit other crimes. What we've seen is an increase in violent crime, more shootings, more theft, and I think that having more strict penalties is going to prevent people from stealing cars.
That proposal is just being introduced. At 6, we'll hear from Aurora's interim police chief, who has his own plan to curb car theft in the city.
Gas prices hit yet another record high. AAA says the national average is now $4.86 a gallon, a 15-cent jump since just last week. Gas Buddy says there are now 10 states where the average is over $5 a gallon. California, the highest at $6.34. Now, demand's not decreasing yet, and in fact increased last week with Memorial Day travel. The pandemic has influenced the way we spend money and the way we tip. During lockdown, service workers were seeing more tips as many of us ordered in. Now, new numbers out today from creditcards.com shows that Americans are tipping worse than prior to the pandemic. The number of people who report always tipping at a sit-down restaurant dropped 4% from 2019. Food delivery and rideshare driver tips both went down 6%. Although the survey didn't ask why, experts have a pretty good idea.
I think inflation is definitely a big part of it because people have less money to go around.
Now, there's also the nationwide staffing shortage in the service industry that can make people feel less inclined to tip.
Sometimes the fact that you waited a long time for a table or maybe the food wasn't quite right, I mean, that's not the server's fault. Restaurants and other service industry businesses have had a hard time attracting workers. Now, this is a little bit self-fulfilling in a way, maybe, because a lot of people left the service industry during the pandemic because of the virus, but also because it doesn't pay that well, typically.
Now, he says young adults who have worked in the service industry themselves are usually the best tippers, but it's also the same generation most likely to say the U.S. should do away with tipping, even if it means higher prices.
In reality, that hasn't really played out, though. There have been some restaurants like Danny Meyer, for example, who runs a bunch of restaurants in New York City, and he was one of the founders of Shake Shack. He tried to do away with tipping at his restaurants, and it was really not received well by customers and by staff.
Creditcards.com found that hairstylists and barbers were the one exception to the decrease in tips. In 2019, 63% of Americans said they always tipped. Now it is 66%. Well, there's a push to get more Latino voters to the polls this fall.
Social equity is going to mean two very different things to a Cuban than it will to a Colombian.
We're hearing what voting means to the dozens of different Hispanic and Latino populations.
And Vikram Raju made it further than any other Colorado speller in the National Spelling Bee.
The fire round was very, it had a lot of pressure.
What he told me about his time at the Bee, that's a little later on Denver 7 News at 4.